All right, guys, if you throw crankbaits and you throw deep diving crankbaits, any at all, you've heard of the Strike King 6XD. And you think, well, this is just Strike King's version of a deep diving crankbait. They finally, or they might have, you know, had a plastic mold and just put Strike King's name on it and said Mark Rose and Kevin Van Dam and Dakota Ebear and Greg Hackney and all these other guys. They just, y'all put your, you know, twist behind it and make it sell. It's not what this bait was all about. This bait right here, Phil Marks had a lot to do with this bait, the design of this bait, and then Kevin Van Dam had a whole lot to do with this bait right here. The actual design of the bait, I really did not have a lot to do with. I've had some color recommendations and things like that that I have put into it that they've added into the lineup. But other than that, this was a bait that I didn't have a lot to do with the design of, but I can't tell you how many bass I've caught on it. It's been a big part of some major tournament wins of mine, and I'm going to tell you guys that this was not a just find a mold or get a whole bunch of them, put Strike King name on it. A lot of work went into this bait, and I'm going to explain to you the difference that this bait has and what makes it so good compared to some others. Y'all gonna have to excuse my hands because I had a flat tire this morning. I got grease all over my hands, and my cameraman's getting all up in my grill right now, so you're just gonna have to deal with the grease on the hands. But we got to do what he's doing because we're gonna show you some intricate things about this bait. One is, you can see right here, XD means extra deep. And you can notice this cup in the lip right there. A lot of crankbaits will have a big bulky plastic and thick, and it's kind of dead, it pushes water. Look how streamlined that XD. And notice that little curvature. I know y'all can see how that little, right out on the end, it makes that little curve right out there. That is what's hence XD, because it's when it's thrown out there, it starts diving immediately. You know, you only have, what, 80 feet or so, 90 on a, that's the longest cast. And you've only got a small percentage of your time to get that bait down in the strike zone. And if you got a bait that's riding on a plane like this, you're gonna only get your bait in your strike zone a very small percentage. With the Strike King 6XD, that bait, instead of dives like that, it dives like that. It goes straight down, and the entire time you're reeling that bait, it's digging. So the XD means it gets extra deep quick. The extra deep is most of your cast because it gets down there a lot quicker than most other baits. And it's all caused by that little turn right there in the bill. It's very streamlined, meaning the wiggle, it gives a lot more action than most, because a lot of them, you just have a big old chunk of plastic right out there on the end, and it's just like, This one, I mean, it gets down there deep really quick. The hook hangers are really far enough apart. I can put two 1/0 KVD Elite trebles on here, or inline trebles in the 1/0. The only thing I do different right out of the, I just took this one right out of the package, and I add KVD Elite trebles to it. It comes with good hooks on there already. These are ones. I put a bigger size 1/0. They're short shank, so they still fit on there. So the hook hangers are perfect. We've got them in some unbelievable colors. The Strike King 6XD is an absolute dynamite crankbait. It's the best deep diving crankbait, I believe, that has ever been produced by a lure company. It's been copied, it's been mocked, but never duplicated, because that sucker right there is an absolute fish catching machine, and it's just hard. You would have to break a patent on it to be able to get it just right. And that bill, that streamlined bill, the only bulk on it is right there where you have to put a little bit around the line tie. So you have to make that extra strong. The flatness of it, the curvature of the, man, it's just an absolute great crankbait. Now, I'm throwing this bait right now on a 6/8-1 Custom Pro. The reason I've always liked the Custom Pro is because it comes in a 6/8-1, a 7/5, and an 8/3-1. I only have the brand new Custom Pro in a 7.5 to 1. I was using it a little bit on a recent show with a spoon, but I've only got one. It's not, you know, we just have samples right now. But they're about to be coming out, and I will be cranking with that reel in a 6.8 to 1 in 2025. And I'll be doing most of my stuff with a 7.5 to 1 and then an 8.3 with flipping, Carolina rigging, stuff like that. But I always throw 12-pound Seaguar Tatsu. You can get away with Red Label, Invisex, whatever your favorite fluorocarbon, but I throw 12. I believe that 12 doesn't stretch. It don't get quite as much stretch on your cast as a 10. 10, you might get a half a foot more, but Seaguar, in depth that is, but Seaguar is so thin that I don't need to go any smaller than 12. And I will go 15 if I'm cranking like a 10XD or 8XD, but for the 6XD, 12-pound fluorocarbon, and I believe this is the best crankbait rod on the market for a 5XD, 6XD, 1/2 and 3/4 ounce red eye, things like that, and that is the deep crankbait. These are technique specific in the Lew's Signature Series rod, but this rod is also great for little swim baits and 5XD, 8XD, anything like that. But it, you know, I worked so hard on getting this action just right. It loads really well. It's a 711 medium heavy action rod. Don't go by what it says about deep diving crankbait. Don't go by medium heavy. Don't go by anything. Yeah, it is 711, but this rod is absolutely perfect. The way it loads, and when, you know, a lot of people want glass, and I understand there's some people want glass on their crankbait rod. When they freight train you right at the boat, or they surge right at the boat, you want that protection that it won't break your 12-pound line. But that's what the end, look at the end of this rod when I bend it. Look at that. That's what that's for. I don't need it to go all the way throughout the rod, because I need this part of the rod to launch that bait on the cast. I also need that part of the rod to set the hook on that 6XD. You got to set the hook on this bait just like you do with a worm. You got to just put it on them really good out there when you're cranking and that sucker fills up and loads up like a sack of taters. You got to lean back on him, man. You can't just let him be in control. You got to get, so that's what that backbone is, but yet that light tip protects it when it surges right at the boat. That's the setup, that's the bait. If you like deep diving crankbait, that is the exact bait and setup that you need, with the exception of get the new Custom Pro in 25.